Every day, you are being pulled in 1,000 different directions. The world is loud. Opinions are louder, and distractions they dress themselves up as opportunities. But let me ask you something simple. What really matters to you? Not to your neighbor, not to your boss, not to the crowd on social media, to you. If you can answer that question with conviction, then you already have the compass, and if you focus on that, just that, your life will shift. Now understand this, the world will try to seduce you into living someone else's dream. They'll hand you blueprints that were never meant for your soul. But real focus, is the act of refusing the noise and returning to your purpose. Again and again, you weren't born to be average. You weren't born to multitask your greatness into mediocrity. You were born to lock eyes with a goal that sets your spirit on fire and chase it like nothing else exists. That kind of clarity, that kind of decision, it creates power. When you focus only on what matters to you, not what's trending, not what's safe, not what's expected, you stop wasting time, energy, and potential. You begin to build something real, solid, unshakable. Your mind becomes sharper, your actions become bolder, and your results, I promise you, they stop whispering and start roaring. So here's the challenge: strip away the noise. Shut out the critics, drop the comparisons, and build your life around what truly matters to you and nothing else. That's where your power lives, that's where your future begins. And that's how you rise. Let me tell you something that most people never stop to ask themselves: what do I really want? Not what your family thinks is best, not what society applauds, not even what your old self once settled for. I'm talking about that deep, undeniable desire that keeps showing up no matter how much you try to ignore it. That's the thing you need to uncover. That's where everything begins. You see, clarity is not a luxury, it's a necessity. Until you decide with full conviction what truly matters to you, you'll be dragged around by every loud voice, every shiny opportunity, every opinion that gets thrown your way. But once you truly decide what matters, your mind stops wandering and your path begins to straighten. Most people never make that decision. They drift, they mimic. They borrow their direction from others and wonder why they never feel fulfilled. But if you want to rise, if you want to become something more than just another face in the crowd, you must get crystal clear on what fuels you. Not tomorrow, not when the timing is right. Now, when your purpose is vague, your actions are weak. When your values are blurry, your focus is scattered. And when your life is built on things you don't even care about, it doesn't matter how hard you work, you'll feel empty. But once you lock onto what actually matters to you, everything changes. Your energy changes, your standard rises, and suddenly you're no longer willing to trade your time, your peace, or your potential for anything that doesn't align. You'll start to see how much of your life has been taken up by obligations that don't serve you. You'll recognize how often you said yes when you should have walked away, and you'll begin finally to choose differently. With strength, with direction, with intention, clarity gives you authority over your own life. You stop chasing trends and start building substance. You stop competing and start creating. You stop doubting and start deciding. And let me tell you, when you decide what really matters to you and you choose to honor that above all else, you no longer ask the world for permission to live boldly. You give it to yourself. You begin to live not from pressure, but from purpose. And that makes you magnetic. That makes you powerful. That makes you dangerous in the best way possible. So ask yourself, without hesitation, without apology, what matters most to me? And when the answer comes, because it will hold on to it. Sharpen it, feed it, and never again allow yourself to be pulled away by anything less. Once you know what truly matters to you, the next challenge isn't about dreaming bigger, it's about staying on the path. Because once you're clear, life doesn't suddenly get easier. In fact, it tests you. It surrounds you with noise, distractions, temptations dressed as progress. It offers you shortcuts, shiny detours, and applause for chasing goals that aren't even yours. And if you're not focused, if you don't hold your ground with absolute discipline, you'll find yourself drifting. Not because you didn't want it badly enough, but because you let the wrong things steal your attention 1 inch at a time. Distractions are clever. They don't always show up as failures. Sometimes they come wrapped in the approval of others. Sometimes they look like new opportunities, partnerships, even habits that seem harmless. But every time you say yes to something that doesn't serve your mission, you dilute your energy, you weaken your force, you take one step off your path. The most dangerous distractions are the ones that pretend to be urgent. They scream for your attention. They make you feel like if you don't act now, you'll miss something. But let me tell you, when you are aligned with your purpose, you're not missing anything. You're building something. And builders don't abandon their foundation just because something flashy passes by. You must become ruthless with your attention, ruthless with your time. You must protect your focus like it's your life, because it is your life. Every hour given to something unworthy is an hour stolen from what you were born to create. The world will try to pull you back into the crowd. It will tempt you with convenience, with comfort, with distractions that make you feel busy but keep you stuck. And if you don't decide every day to shut that noise out, you will live your life exhausted, productive, but never fulfilled. There's a difference between movement and progress. Many people are in motion all day long, yet they're standing still. They're busy reacting, scrolling, rushing, agreeing, but they're not creating, they're not advancing. Why? Because they've let distractions win. You must decide that your mission is more important than momentary satisfaction. You must train yourself to ignore what does not matter, no matter how loud, no matter how popular, no matter how urgent it claims to be. And when you do that, when you stop being available to distractions and start honoring your own direction, that's when results start to multiply. That's when you begin to move with power, not pressure, with purpose, not noise. So remember this: distractions are not obstacles, they are tests. And you pass every one of them by choosing again and again to focus only on what truly matters. There comes a moment in every person's life when they must make a choice: live for the applause of others or live in alignment with their truth. Most choose the applause. It's louder. It feels safer. It gives you the illusion of success, even if inside you feel the hollowness growing. But the truth is, there is no lasting power in trying to please the world. The more you chase approval, the more you abandon yourself. You cannot build a strong life on borrowed opinions. You cannot chase purpose with someone else's map. When you live for others, you end up exhausted, confused, constantly shifting to meet expectations that keep changing. One day they love you, the next they forget you. If your direction depends on that, on being liked, followed, accepted, then your foundation is weak, and it will crack the first time life applies pressure. But when you focus on what really matters to you and you commit to that, everything changes. You stop asking for permission. You stop explaining yourself. You stop shrinking to fit into molds that were never made for you in the first place. Authenticity is power, not the kind that shouts or performs. I'm talking about quiet, unshakable power, the kind that comes from knowing who you are and refusing to be anything else. It gives your words weight. It makes your presence meaningful. It turns your choices into declarations. The world doesn't need another copy. It doesn't need more watered-down versions of greatness. It needs people who are so rooted in what matters to them that they become immovable. People who walk into a room and don't have to say a word to be respected, because you can feel that they're real, that they're not performing, that they're not for sale. You'll lose people when you start living this way. Some won't understand, some will criticize. That's the price of authenticity, and it's worth every bit of it. Because what you gain in return is peace, integrity, focus. You begin to attract the right people, the right opportunities, the right challenges that make you stronger, not smaller. And the beautiful thing is this: when you stop chasing validation, you start creating value. You stop waiting to be chosen and begin choosing yourself. That is how leaders are made. That is how legacies are built. By people who dared to be fully themselves, even when it wasn't convenient, even when it wasn't applauded. So if you find yourself adjusting, performing, wearing a mask just to be accepted, stop. Go back to what matters to you. Build from that, speak from that, live from that, because when you live in alignment with your truth, you stop needing to be loud. Your results speak for you. You can't do everything. And the more you try, the more you weaken your ability to do the one thing that actually matters. The world has sold us this myth that being constantly busy means you're being productive, that juggling a dozen tasks is somehow a badge of honor. But the truth is, scattered energy produces scattered results. And if you want to achieve anything of real value, you must learn the discipline of single-minded focus. When you give your full attention to one meaningful goal, something remarkable happens. You build momentum. Real, unstoppable momentum. You begin to move forward not in short bursts of effort, but in a consistent, deliberate, and compounding way. Every step builds on the last. Every decision strengthens your direction. Every action sharpens your aim. But when your attention is split, when you're trying to chase 5 dreams, answer every call, impress every person, be everything to everyone, you make shallow progress in too many directions. And eventually you burn out, not because you're not capable, not because you don't care, but because you've spread yourself too thin to make anything truly grow. Success doesn't come to those who try to touch everything. It comes to those who plant themselves deeply in one thing, the right thing, and give it their all. Focus turns effort into excellence. It turns dreams into results. It turns potential into something real and lasting. Look at anything great that's ever been built, a business, a masterpiece, a legacy, and you'll find one thing behind it: concentrated effort. Someone decided to go all in. They didn't flirt with their vision. They didn't dabble, they committed, they made sacrifices, they tuned out distractions, and they kept showing up with intensity day after day while others gave up, got distracted, or settled for less. You don't need 1,000 good ideas. You need one idea you believe in so strongly that you're willing to shape your life around it. You need to wake up every day and say, "This is the mission," and then you act like it. You protect your time, you guard your energy, you stop saying yes to things that pull you off track. Because when you say yes to too many things, you're saying no to the one thing that could change everything. Now, this kind of focus requires courage. It requires letting go of comfort and the illusion of safety. It requires trusting that going deeper, not wider, is the path to mastery. And that's what few people are willing to do. But if you can do it, if you can train yourself to focus like that, to pour yourself completely into what truly matters, you'll achieve more in a year than most people do in a lifetime of busy work. There is a moment, and it comes quietly, when a person finally decides. They stop hesitating. They stop looking around for permission. They stop waiting for the perfect conditions, and they choose what matters. They choose what they will pursue, no matter how hard, how long, or how uncertain the road may be. That moment, my friend, is the moment everything changes. Decision is not the same as desire. Many people want to succeed. Many people hope to live a meaningful life. They talk about their dreams, they write them down, they pray for them. But wanting is not enough. Hoping is not enough. Nothing moves until you decide with finality, with no turning back, that this is what you are going to do, and this is who you are going to become. The moment you make that kind of decision, a kind of inner power wakes up in you. It's not loud, it doesn't need to be. It simply begins to move through you with quiet certainty. You walk differently. You speak with more conviction. You stop doubting your worth because the decision has already been made. That kind of power isn't something you're born with, it's something you activate. And you activate it by making a firm, irreversible choice to honor what matters most to you. People who lack results often don't lack talent, they lack decision. They spend their lives sitting at the crossroads, staring at every possible path, waiting for guarantees. But life doesn't reward hesitation. Life rewards courage. Life moves in favor of the person who moves with clarity, who plants their flag and says, "This is where I stand." Now, don't mistake that kind of decision for stubbornness. It's not about being rigid. It's about being rooted. It's about having a direction so grounded in your values that you're no longer tossed around by every new idea, trend, or opinion. You stop second guessing. You stop comparing. And most importantly, you stop quitting every time it gets hard because your commitment is stronger than your comfort. When you decide you're no longer at the mercy of circumstance, you become the cause, not the effect. You stop reacting and you start creating. Obstacles lose their power because your mind is already made up. You don't waste energy debating what you already know to be true. You just move, you just build. You just become, and people will notice. They'll feel your conviction. They'll either be drawn to it or intimidated by it, and either way, that's not your concern. Your concern is your mission. Your concern is staying loyal to what you chose, no matter who doubts it or how long it takes. That's how you earn results that don't fade. That's how you walk into rooms and command respect without saying a word. What's the point of success if the life you've built doesn't even feel like yours? Too many people climb ladders that were leaning against the wrong walls. They chase dreams that were never truly theirs, follow routines that suffocate them, and achieve goals that leave them strangely empty. And all because they forgot the most important part to build a life that reflects who they really are. You were never meant to copy someone else's version of success. You were meant to define it for yourself, to shape it around what moves you, fulfills you, and stretches you into your highest self. When you focus on what truly matters to you, not what impresses others, not what's fashionable this year, not what looks good on a resume, but you, your spirit, your values, your vision, then, and only then, do you begin to create something that feels alive. It's easy to fall into the trap of chasing the visible wins, the house, the title, the applause, and there's nothing wrong with those things if they flow from your truth. But if you build your life around symbols instead of substance, you'll spend every day performing. You'll keep smiling on the outside while feeling lost on the inside. That is no way to live. That is not freedom. That is a prison built by approval and paved with fear. Real fulfillment doesn't come from what the world gives you. It comes from the life you build when you stop compromising on what matters most to you. It's in the small, intentional choices, the work you do that aligns with your soul, the relationships you nurture because they lift you higher. The habits you create that feed your strength and honor your peace. It's not about perfection, it's about alignment. When your inner world matches your outer world, you become unstoppable. Your days begin to feel meaningful. Your energy becomes magnetic. You stop chasing and start attracting. You stop forcing and start flowing, because you're no longer trying to be someone else, you're finally being you. That's when you feel powerful. That's when you feel alive, but this kind of life doesn't happen by accident. It happens by design. You have to be intentional. You have to ask yourself often, is this really mine, or did I accept this by default? You have to be willing to walk away from anything that no longer fits the vision you have for yourself, even if it once did. Even if others don't understand, you're not here to live a life that looks good. You're here to live a life that feels right, and when you have the courage to focus on what really matters to you and nothing else, that's exactly what you begin to create. A life that's not only successful on the outside, but deeply satisfying on the inside. And that is what it means to truly live.